Is minimalism too extreme for kids? I mean, we'd all agree that we don't want our kids to be drowning in stuff, but does minimalism swing too far the other way? Do we need to find more of a balance with our kids? And so today I'm excited to visit with Trisha, another minimalist mom who has 7 kids, and we're gonna talk about this. Where's the line? Where's the balance? And ultimately, how do we raise happy and content kids?
Minimalism is not a set of rules. Minimalism is about living more simply, having less in your home that brings stress and anxiety, having more in your home that brings joy and peace.
And so it was so fun. I was joking a minute ago that when I saw that you don't have nightstands in your bedroom and you don't have pajamas, I was just like, finally, like someone else who understands me. And so it's been fun following your Instagram account where you show what it looks like to live very simply with a large family and with a full household. And I think what I want to encourage everyone is that this isn't necessarily meant to be prescriptive, it's descriptive, right? You're showing your home, you're describing your lifestyle with your family and kids. And so I know sometimes it can make others maybe feel a little defensive, like, but I need a nightstand. I mean, I saw the comments like, where do you put your glass of water at night, you know? And so just because something might work for both Trisha and I doesn't mean that it's necessarily for everyone, but I think both of us would encourage you, like, you've got to go further with simplifying and decluttering to see what's on the other side, because it's so good, right? And that's why we spend hours a week trying to encourage you and to show and all of this. So the main question though, Trisha, that I wanted to ask you today is that I feel like the hesitancy that I get from a lot of moms is that we don't want to mess our kids up. And so where is the line? How do we find that between highly simplifying, maybe even calling ourselves minimalist, but still making sure our kids have the things they need, live a very full childhood, and that when their friends come over, they don't feel weird or everyone thinks, oh, Trisha's family is so weird because they don't have all this stuff in their house.
So something that I talk about on my Instagram is that living a clutter-free life does not automatically mean that you're going to be happy. And it's the same thing with our kids, but I feel like it's certain principles, right? So if you walk into your home and you feel anxious, overwhelmed, frustrated, you have to realize that your kids are going to feel the same way. If they walk into their bedroom and it is full of toys, right? They're going to be like, oh my goodness, especially if they're not like age appropriate. Like for a 4-year-old, if you go tell her, go clean your room, and her room is full of toys, it will make her unhappy. It's unrealistic expectations. She will not be able to clean her room. So you're asking like, you know, how do your kids have a full, happy childhood? So what happened this morning, just to give a very practical example, our kids, we homeschool, our kids finished their school and they spent hours outside. And one of my kids actually came inside and was like, Mom, we're playing in the snow. Can I have toys outside? And I was like, be creative. Like, use the rocks, use the leaves, use all the things to create your kitchen. You don't need to take all your kitchen toys outside. Yeah. And I think that's so huge for our kids, is when we made the shift, they became more creative.
Yes. Yeah, I love to say that kids don't need toys or craft supplies to be creative. They just need their imagination. Yes. And I completely agree with that, is that when our kids appear to be the most content is when they're most engrossed in like creative play. And I'm not saying like, oh, you have to create a Montessori room and you need to get rid of all your plastic toys and get wooden toys. And no, highly simplify the toys so that they're forced to be creative. They have to get bored. They have to like drive you nuts saying like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And you just keep telling them, go play or unload the dishwasher, go play or unload the dishwasher, you know?
Right.
And you push them past that boredom until they get to the creativity, because it's there. It is inside of every child. And I feel like that is when I can tell you for me at least, like that's when my kids seem the happy and most content. And so, plus it's win-win,
I totally
right?
agree.
Like they can manage the stuff and we don't have to stress over trying to manage all of their stuff either.
Here's why we got rid of almost all of our kids' toys. This is the pattern that we were seeing. Our kids would dump the toys, they would not want to play with the toys, they would fight over the toys, they would not want to clean the toys up. We tried bagging up most of the kids' toys and we put them in the storage closet, and the kids were happier. They played with the toys they had, they were more creative. Several months later, we brought the bags of toys out again, and the exact same pattern we've been dealing with before started over. Then the worst Christmas ever happened. The kids got way too many toys, and by 11 a.m., On Christmas morning, all the kids were literally not playing with any of the toys they had gotten. They had all fixated on the same toy that they were fighting over. And Matt and I looked at each other and we basically said, what are we doing? We told the kids we're going to try something different. We bagged up the toys again, but this time we got rid of them. A week or two following that decision, our children were more creative and more happy than we had seen in a long time. And we said, we are never going back. This is definitely not for everyone, but if you're dealing with some of the same things that we were, it might be worth a try.
Right.
So Trisha, when did you find like simple living and then minimalism?
There were a few reasons. Number one was just necessity. We went through a very difficult financial time where we ended up like selling a lot of the stuff we had simply to pay the bills. So that was part of it. But then another part of it was like, it was after Christmas, like 4 or 5 years ago probably, and our kids were literally surrounded by toys, a bunch of things they'd gotten for Christmas, plus all their other stuff, which is such a difficult time, right? And they were not happy. They were not happy. We watched them not being happy, and they wouldn't clean it up. And I just remember going downstairs and I got a huge bag and I was like, guys, this is not working. We're going to take our toys and we're going to put them in this bag. And the kids were like, okay, sounds good. And they started filling the bag. And I think at that moment I had this light bulb, like, these are not making my kids happy. Why do we have them?
Right. Isn't that so true? And it's so like countercultural. It goes against everything, the messaging we're getting.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you just haven't found the right toys to engage your kids, right? And unfortunately, there's a solution for everything right now. And we don't think, oh, it's just remove everything and then that's the solution. And so, Trisha, I hear from other moms too, like, do you worry that if we're really stripping things back and keeping it really simplified right now, do you worry that as your kids get older and they learn, oh, I can buy my own stuff, I can acquire my own stuff, that now that we're setting them up now to go the other way, and now they're gonna have the opposite problem when they're adults, that they're just gonna want everything?
That's definitely crossed my mind. I think that a lot of it goes back to what we are showing them by example to our children. So it's not like I never say you're not allowed to spend your own money. They have their own money, they earn their own money, and when they go to a store, like right now because they're younger, there are boundaries, but yes, they're allowed to buy their own things. So I don't think it's one of those, no, we've removed everything from your room, you're never allowed to spend money. It's not like that. I think it's a real balance.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like you said, it's like finding that balance between, because I don't want them to just throw everything or like everything just goes in the donation box and they have no value for things, or they think everything's replaceable or it doesn't have value. But I feel like we're giving our kids the skills they need, even if they would.
Yes.
I mean, again, they're going to be free-willed adults, right? If they would acquire more stuff, they would have the skills if they realize, oh, I thought this was going to, be gratifying or satisfying, and it's not. So either I can call mom and ask for help, or like I do have this skill set. I've seen this modeled in my house growing up, so I'll be able to simplify it back down and pare it back down. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing.
I think a lot of it goes back to how your kids feel inside. And again, like when you're in a store with your kids, do you practice like contentment and gratefulness? Or are they seeing you as the mom constantly going to Target and filling your cart? Because if they see that, then they're going to be like, okay, well, you're filling your cart. Why can I not have all the things? As opposed to, no, we already have something like that at home.
Yeah, exactly. That's so good.
Hey guys, come here. I want to tell you my secret. I am constantly evaluating what is in my home. Do I love it? Do I use it? Is it practical? Is it beautiful? If not, then it leaves. It needs to serve a purpose or it doesn't stay. And that's my secret.
And so how do you feel like minimalism has impacted you as a mom? And now, like, what kind of mom are you now compared to how things were in the past?
So this is what I feel. Okay. When you walk into your home, what are like 3 words that you want to describe your home? And one of the words that I like clung to several years ago was peaceful. And I'm like, when I walk into my home, or even when we leave like for an errand and come back, when I walk into my home, I want it to feel peaceful. And when you're tripping over piles of stuff, and when there is too much stuff, I don't feel like you or your kids, like at the end of the day, you want your kids growing up in a happy, peaceful environment. If they have lots of toys and lots of things, but you as the mom are always yelling at them, then that's not going to provide them with a happy, peaceful childhood or environment. And I also feel like we have so little time with our kids and so little time as a mom. And if we feel like we're spending all of our time cleaning up, putting things away, just distraction, like a clutter-free home can lead to a clutter-free mind, right? But if there's all these distractions, then we're not even going to be able to enjoy our kids or enjoy our home.
Yeah, that's so good. And I was just even thinking back today a little bit, because I was thinking of my own upbringing and my mom, and I was like, my mom really set the tone in our house.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that 98% of the time there was always something. There wasn't always extra money. There was health challenges. She had significant health challenges when we were in high school. We looked to her as the barometer, and she was able to be like, you know what? Things are okay. They're not perfect. Once in a while, she'd get frustrated. I remember her chasing my brother around with a spatula, just swat at him, But overall, she really held things together very well for us and modeled that very well. And I'm like, I want to be that for our kids. And I think most of us as moms, we're like, we want to be steady. We want to be reliable. We want to be trustworthy. And we don't realize the impact that our house is having on us and our surroundings.
Yes.
So 100%. What would you say to the mom who is like, I hear you guys, I hear this, I want this, but I am just feeling overwhelmed. I've always struggled with clutter. I don't know where to start. What would you say to them?
So I feel like, again, you need to figure out what you want your home to feel like and then why. What is your why? Or you're going to get, like you just said, overwhelmed and burnt out by the decluttering process.
You guys are like, what? You want me to get rid of that? But I love it, but I use it. You guys, that's just the point. If you love something and if you're using something, it stays in your home. Minimalism does not mean that your home is empty of stuff, that you never go shopping, that you never throw parties, that you never have fun. Minimalism is that everything in your home is intentionally there.
So has there been anything you've decluttered that then you had major regrets over?
No, I don't think so. I really don't.
Right? How many thousands of things have you donated and decluttered, do you think?
Right, exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So much stuff. And I also think that the difficult part is at the beginning. The difficult part is actually bagging up all the stuff and taking it to Goodwill or the decluttering process. But then after that, it gets so much easier. It's I decluttered my inbox the other day and it was overwhelming because I had thousands of emails, but that was the hard part. Now all I have to do is maintain, and that's so much easier.
Yeah. And did you deal with any guilt around this stuff? I think that can keep a lot of us from decluttering, especially clothes or beauty products and hair products. How did you deal with the guilt of the money you spent and now you're just throwing it away or decluttering it?
So we moved a month ago, and when we moved, we brought 3 rugs with us that had looked great in our old house. We put them in our new house and they did not look good. And so people are like, how could you just get rid of those rugs? I literally sold all 3 of them for nothing, essentially. But I was like, every time I walked downstairs in my new house, the first thing I saw were those 3 rugs, and they did not make me happy. And I knew I could never use them here. And so no, I don't feel any guilt about getting rid of them because they're going to look fantastic in whoever bought them their house.
Yeah.
So it's I'm getting rid of it for my own happiness and my family's sanity. Why would I feel guilt over that,
Yeah. No, I think that's great when you think about, and I've done that before. I have to literally think when I'm donating clothes with the tag on, I'm like, I hope someone is so stinking excited when they find this at the thrift store, because I know I found new things, that actually fit and that I'm excited about, and they're a fraction of the price. And that's a gift to me, especially when we had very little money. I all the stuff I've gotten for our kids, at the thrift store. And I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful that somebody let that stuff go so that we could make use of it, especially when we didn't have money to buy it and for it to have a second life. And so I've had to play that game.
I love that. Yeah.
Too, definitely.
Have a shoebox sized box for each child, label it with their name, and only what can fit in that box is what you keep for that child of special memories, special artwork, things like that. So if you want to put something new in, you're going to have to take something out.
Okay, how about, what are your top tips for decluttering toys? Did you do it with your kids, or do you do that on your own? What's your kind of advice around simplifying toys?
Sometimes I do it with my sometimes I do it with my kids, and sometimes I don't. It just depends. But The thing that I really don't like, they're the things that come into our home. Like, again, Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, and then like hand-me-downs, like, you know, things that people are just passing. A lot of the times, like for like hand-me-downs and things like that, I'm going to just say, no, thank you, right? But then we've had times in our life that like we took our kids to the dollar store a lot. And what happens with toys with that is that you bring in a lot of cheap things that break very easily. And so, yes, sometimes I'm going to go into my kids' room and they literally never even notice. They never even notice. And I just gather some of those up and I get rid of them. It's like a little tiny reset. But then with bigger things or like, so like to branch away from toys, like craft supplies, art stuff, things like that, what I'll say to my kids, because my 2 older girls are very into drawing and crafting, I'll say, pick your 15 favorite things. If you're going to do like a bunch of drawing and stuff, pick your 5 favorite things, pick your 15 favorite things. Or each child has a treasure box, and I'll say, once it's full, it's full. And then we have to pull something out to put something in.
Yeah, that's great. And that is such a valuable life skill, I feel like, that you're teaching to your kids of like, we can't keep it all, but we can always keep the super special stuff, right? And I think sometimes I think moms worry about too with minimalism is like, well, you're not sentimental, you don't care about special stuff. And I don't think that's it at all. We're promoting the like really special stuff and we're putting that in a special place, but like we can't keep everything. And so I think that's so good. I love to, I mean, I'm not afraid to say, fill this box with toys as the kids got older. They're spending their own money on toys or getting it as gifts. I'll say, fill it. I'll give you $5 for it.
Yes.
And that, I mean, some will be like, oh, you're bribing your kids, but I think it's economy, right? I'm asking them, what's more valuable to you right now, $5 or these old toys? And I've never had a time where the $5 didn't win out, right? But everything is a trade-off, right? Everything is a value trade-off. So I'm not afraid to do that because I know how much happy they are when their space is simplified. And so when it starts to creep up again, just doing whatever we have to, I think it's really important. I know some parents will be like, my kids remember everything. They're attached to everything. And I think we have to keep working then to find the tactic that works for them, because at the end of the day, we still can't keep it all and nobody's winning when we're trying to keep it all. Awesome. Well, as we wrap up, Trisha, is there anything else you want to say to encourage moms out there about simple living or minimalism with kids?
I would say that don't doubt yourself, give yourself grace. You're going to have a lot of naysayers. You're going to have a lot of like criticism from people, but you have got to figure out what works for you and your kids and your family. And I mean, you're the one that has to live in your home, right? You're the one that has to live with your kids and figure out what you want your kids' life to be like and what you want your life to be like, and then pursue that.
Yeah, that's so good. And where can everyone find you, Trisha?
I am on Instagram as Clean House with Kids.
So you can feel motivated and inspired by Trisha on Instagram. So I will link to her account down below. You can find me on there as well. But I'd love to know, if you've highly simplified things with your own kids, what have been the benefits or drawbacks that you've seen with them? That would be really interesting to know too. All right, well, I love you. I hope that you have a good day, and I'll see you again soon.